What's up, beautiful people? It's Naz here with another video. Today we have Jonathan and the channel. We're going to be talking about how Jonathan is doing $55,000 a day with email marketing. So welcome to Nazarati's channel.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure.
Yay, that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got into email marketing. I know we talked about it a little bit before this, but tell me a little bit about how you got started.
Yeah, so I have been in business for 4 years now. I started back in late 2017, early 2018. I was in college at the time, and I just decided that I wanted to build a business, and I was kind of hopping around between a bunch of different things, and I decided, you know what, the next thing that I start is going to be the thing that I stick with, and I didn't care how long it took. I just wanted to, really stay with one thing. And so that happened to be e-commerce. I saw a YouTube ad from some kid that had a Lambo, and he's like, "Oh, I'm making so much money."
Do you remember who it was?
I don't. I wish I did.
I want that.
I'm like, yeah, that's the life I want. So I decided, you know what? Okay, this is the thing. I'm gonna go all in on this. So I started initially with drop shipping. The first month, I lost about $2,000 to $3,000, which at the time was like everything that I had. I was, devastated. I was working at a call center, going to school full time, and that was like all my money. I remember my friends and my family being like, "Jonathan, what are you doing?
What the hell are you doing?
Like, don't spend your money on this. Like, just stay in school. You're a smart kid. You're good to go." And I'm like, no. I said I'm going to stick with this until I make it work. So 3 months later, I ended up breaking even. I started catching up on some of those profits.
I
had a little bit of the money in the bank account. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm moving in the right direction. Within 6 months, I hit six figures.
There we go.
So
it
was a steep incline.
Yeah.
Learned a lot during that time period. What I didn't realize is that net profit's the thing that actually matters, not the gross revenue.
Yep.
And so I didn't really keep a lot of that 100,000, but it really opened my eyes to the possibility of e-com.
Yeah.
So from there, I decided, okay, I'm dropping out of school. I'm quitting my job. I'm going all in on this. And I just decided to bet on myself. And that was, like I said, about 3.5 years ago. I built up an e-commerce brand, sold that. And then I was kind of in a transitionary phase where I wasn't super sure what I was wanting to do. And I had a couple of my buddies that were in the e-commerce space saying, hey, can you run our email? Because I was doing that for myself. And that was a big way on how I was making my ads profitable.
Got it.
And so I ran it for one friend, and then he recommended me to the next person, and then recommended to me the next person. And before I knew it, I had like 4 or 5 people that I was doing email for, and I was like, okay, I guess this is a business
This is
now.
it. That's what I'm going to go. I'm going to do email marketing. So you kind of, the business chose you. You didn't choose the business. Gotcha. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So question, you said that you were doing a lot of your profit with email marketing. Was it that, like, because I've heard that a lot with e-com people, that they say, hey, we don't make, like, with ads, we're not necessarily making profit, but a lot of our profit is coming with emails. Is that the way you were going about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was not entirely breaking even. I was having a slim profit margin.
Slim profit margin.
So it would be like 10, 15%, but it wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
Then I would get on an additional 10 to 15% from email marketing. So that's going to be things
that's pretty good, actually, margin when it comes to e-com, because the margin is really tight with e-coms. Okay.
Yeah, it can be. But that was also an earlier time period where Facebook was a little bit better.
Yeah, a little bit better, yeah.
So, but with that, it was really, of course, going to be like the welcome series and building that up and getting people on your email list, and then just really leveraging the pre and post purchase emails. So pre-purchase is like abandon checkout. Anybody that's kind of moving through your funnel, and you're saying, hey, do you still want this?
Yeah.
And then on the post purchase is saying, hey, because you bought this, do you also want this?
So you send them. So like, just so I get educated a little bit, I'm guessing this is what you do. So like, the simple things that we set up is just like sending 3-4 emails just for abandonment recovery, right? Like, hey, you forgot something, hey, us again, like, giving them discounts or whatever to come back. So you're saying that you do that. And then on top of that, there's like more emails that you guys are sending, but I'm guessing it's like 10 times better than like normal emails that you guys are sending, right?
Yeah, so we definitely have a lot of strategies on how we do it.
Okay.
I could get kind of nerdy on it, so if I get too in depth,
it's okay. Go ahead. Let's just learn a little bit. I'm sure like a lot of people that are watching this also into e-com, so it's good for them to also learn about like, hey, how can I increase my email marketing is just not something that I'm like good at,
Yeah.
So it's good to have someone that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then we'll talk about the abandonment series, and I'll talk about post-purchase.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Abandonment series, I call it an abandonment web. So there's 4 different flows. Okay. So there is a site abandonment.
Okay.
There is a browse abandonment. There's abandoned cart. There's abandoned checkout. Okay. So it sounds complicated. It's really not. If you look at a funnel, people are moving through different steps in the funnel. With each of those things that I just listed, it's just a different step within the funnel. So site abandonment is basically somebody who looks at the website but doesn't look at a product. Browse abandonment is somebody who looks at the website, looks at a product, and doesn't add to cart. And then add to cart is they add to cart, but they don't initiate checkout. And then abandon checkout is they leave the checkout. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I see. So at what point do you get their emails if they're just looking at the product?
That's a fantastic question.
One of the pop-ups or?
Yeah, so it's going to be one of three ways. It's either going to be directly through a pop-up.
Okay.
It could be through a footer. So at the very bottom.
The footer, yeah.
Or it could be in the checkout. And so site abandonment and browse abandonment, those are a little bit trickier. It's typically for people that are coming back. But the abandoned cart and abandoned checkout are going to be more so for people that are there for the first time.
Gotcha. That's crazy. That how how there's so many ways to actually do it. I see. Okay, cool.
I could dive a little bit deeper on it. So with site abandonment and browse abandonment, with those two, because the audience isn't super engaged quite yet, we're just trying to loop them back into the process. Okay. Just notifying them, hey, you forgot this. But then with an abandoned cart and abandoned checkout, we're going to be giving them an offer, right?
Gotcha.
So because they're deeper in the funnel.
Offer like a discount or
like
something.
A discount, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
cool.
we like adding some sort of a, obviously like a percentage or a dollar amount. But then we might also add like a time constraint where the discount might be available for 12 hours or 24 hours to really give them a little bit of pressure to kind of force them through the funnel.
Gotcha.
So that's like the front end of it. There's more to it, but that's kind of like the basics. On the back end, what we found is with the thank you email, a few big things that we focus on is just one, getting them to not have buyer's remorse, because that's very common, right? So you want to reduce those refunds if you can at all.
Yeah.
And then two, you could go through and insert some sort of a cross sell. So just an additional product that you could go through and sell. And so a lot of people focus on the front end conversion, but they don't focus on the back end conversation.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
And so they're just trying to get that initial purchase.
Yeah.
But if you build up equity with the audience, you could get them to buy again and again, which is really where email becomes powerful.
So I'm assuming this is just also much easier when you have a brand or you're working with brands rather than like, let's say it was a general store in dropshipping.
Yeah, we work with dropshippers. Typically, they're one product dropshipping store, so it kind of is a little bit more branded.
100%.
Yeah, but we've worked with online grocery sellers, like people who sell.
Crazy.
Yeah, yeah, it's like super random. But even with that, it was kind of more of a general store, and we're just doing the reminders and things like that.
I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday too. Now you mentioned the grocery, like the random business that you find, but how did you reach out to these people that you're like, hey, we're gonna do your email marketing, or how did you have get all these people that you're making so much money for?
Yeah, so it's interesting. There's a few different main acquisition methods. One is of course going to be with my Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah,
that helps a ton. So if anybody's thinking about starting a personal brand, would highly recommend it. It's great. I get to meet people like you.
100%.
So personal brands are fantastic. Additionally, we do a lot of outbound, cold outbound. So what is that? That's cold email, cold calls, cold LinkedIn. So basically, if you've never heard of me, I'm going to slide into your messages and say, hey, we run email. Here's a case study and would love to have a conversation.
Gotcha.
And so that's the way that we get a lot of our brands. And we get to work with some really cool people. We just brought on a brand about a month ago that was just on Shark Tank. And we got them through a cold email.
That's amazing. That's crazy that you can actually do that with just cold email.
Yeah.
And like get people, I feel like it's just maybe something that also a lot of brands don't know how important it is, and then you're here, hey, we can do that for you. And it's just, let's just see, you're gonna make a lot more money, right? I feel like email marketing is one of those things people are like, oh, I do it later, or like I do it at some point.
It's not, so it's not something that's like in front of your face. But what we see is our average is 36%.
That's crazy.
So if somebody makes $100,000, about 36% of that on average for our clients
is from email marketing.
Is coming from email.
That's crazy because that's 1/3 of their revenue. It's just insane thinking about it.
Yeah, it actually is. But a lot of people say that your email should be like 20 to 30.
Okay.
And so even in that range, you're able to make a pretty solid profit.
Okay, that's crazy. Do you guys also do SMS marketing or any of that? So is that like something? Just kind of curious. I know about
We pair them together.
Okay.
It's very similar as far as the structures for offers and timing, and we really make them work together. But in my mind, email is going to be number one, and we build the SMS strategy around what we're sending for email.
So one more question.
Yep.
Do you see a difference when it comes to because I've heard that like with SMS marketing, like obviously people get the message, they open it. Like with emails, a lot of people just don't open their emails, right?
Yep.
Do you see like that, like with SMS marketing, the conversion rate is better compared to the email marketing?
Yeah, so from an open rate standpoint, the average that we'll see is a 98% open
With
rate.
SMS.
With SMS.
That's crazy. 98% of people.
So like everybody that you send to pretty much
gonna
opens
open
it.
it, yeah.
With email, with us, we try to stay anywhere from 20 to 30%.
Okay, that's pretty good then.
Yeah, if
right.
it's less than 20, we're probably going to start ending up in spam. If it's more than 30, we could have sent to a bigger list. So we kind of stay in that range of between 20 to 30.
Gotcha.
But SMS, it's pretty much always everybody opens it.
Everybody opens.
So with the campaigns, so there's kind of two different types of structures.
Okay.
There is automations, which is basically somebody that works through your website.
Yeah, they go through the stuff.
Yeah, like if
I
they
set
hit,
that up.
If they hit, you set that up?
Kind of for my own stuff, like personal.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of proud of it. I didn't know what to do, but I guess, go ahead.
It's useful. So with the automations, if somebody's working through the funnel,
Yeah.
there will be an automated sequence that will send. But then there's campaigns where you're sending it to a list that you might have and try to get them to purchase.
Got it.
So with email, we really use email to build up equity first and then sell offers on the back end. So we're sending a lot of education. We're trying to maybe get them to refer a friend or to build up social so that way they could see our Instagram post or whatever it is. So we're really trying to build up equity there. And then rarely we'll do some offers, maybe once, maybe twice a month on email.
So you're basically, that's kind of like how it is also just in general. Like you're providing value and then giving value, and then ask for sale.
Yeah, and a lot
sense.
of people think
That's
that you
usually
could
what it
just
is.
go through and pull out a lot of equity, but you need to build that equity first, which
obviously.
is where that kind of
you want
comes
people
into
to
play.
know you, trust you, and then want to eventually buy from you. I'm
Exactly.
guessing. Gotcha.
Yeah, so with SMS campaigns, we'll typically only send 2 a month, so it's a lot less.
Yeah.
And it's almost always going to be an offer.
Got it.
So
Okay.
instead of trying to go through and do education, because everybody's seeing it, we just go straight for offers.
Gotcha. That's so interesting. So what emails, this is just a question I'm wondering. You said the open rate is 20-30%, right?
Yep.
What do you think is like why is it that people like, do you ever like split test, like let's say, do you think the subject is the reason why people click on the ad, like not the ad, with the email?
You're so used to it.
I know. Click on the email, and is that why? Like the first, like, because the first thing they see is the subject, right?
Yep.
Because that's a lot of times. Like I'm doing like I read emails. I'm one of those people that I'm like, oh, I want to see how they're doing email marketing, right?
Yeah.
Like wow, the subject is like, I'm taking it personal. Like it's the more, you know what I mean? That like they say something personal, and I'm like, dang, I need to click on this email. Do you think it's the subject that gets people to click for the open rate?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's kind of similar to an ad in the sense that, nobody's going to purchase from the ad. They just get enticed to click onto the website. And then the product listing does a lot of the selling.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing here where if you are sending an email, the thing that's going to get them to open is the subject line. The thing that's going to get them to read is going to be the body text. And the thing that's going to get them to buy is the offer.
That makes sense.
And so we kind of focus on each of those components individually. So with the subject line, we're not trying to get them to buy.
Yeah.
We just wanted to drive curiosity to get them to open it.
100%. It's kind of like that 3-4 seconds of the first ad. Hey, we want you to.
Exactly.
Yeah, I kind of like that, like scroll stopper. That makes sense.
Yep.
How many people are right now in your team? Like what are the tasks? Like, what do you do exactly? I'm just kind of getting more nerdy. I'm just curious. Like, you don't write, I'm guessing you don't write the emails anymore, right?
No. So
who writes the emails?
We produce about 60 emails a day.
Okay.
Yeah. So at this point, it's kind of surpassed me being able to,
obviously,
be able to handle everything. And in big promotions like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, last year I reviewed all 500 emails myself.
Dang. So you read all of them?
I read all of them. I give notes on every
insane.
single one. Yeah, because that's the biggest time of the year. And we could talk about the Black Friday, Cyber Monday strategy.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because we'll see a lot of brands 1,200% their sales in that time frame if they do it right.
Yeah.
And so that's a big sell for them. So we want to make sure that we deliver. But the team structure, we have 13 people currently. We have people that are copywriters. We have people that are designers. We have people that assemble them. So basically, if we were to kind of look at it from A to Z, one person's writing it, one person designs it, one person puts it together and makes it look like really nice and work together. And then we have one person that quality checks it and then sets it up.
Oh, so now you have the person. Last year you were quality checking yourself. This year you have a person that quality checks it for you.
Yeah, their full-time job is look at copy design, make sure that everything's perfect. We have a checklist to make sure that it's all matched up and beautiful.
Ah, that's crazy how much it goes through. Okay, someone's writing it, someone's putting it together, and someone doing the designs, and then putting it together. That's crazy. And then someone's reading it to send it out.
Yeah,
That's
you really
amazing.
have to build a nice system and process, and then also find the right people. You know, it's
Yeah.
difficult to find really high quality copywriters or good designers.
Yeah.
You know, and so we have
I can
very
imagine.
specific metrics on how we.
Yeah,
we
how
think
did
about that.
you find your people? Just curious.
Yeah, so we find them through a variety of different ways. The best ways that I've been able to find them as far as high quality goes is going to be from friends or referrals.
That's true, yeah.
So friends, people that already know what type of business I'm in, and that's helpful because I have a lot of business friends.
Yeah.
So maybe an old designer, old customer success rep,
Yeah.
something like that makes it super easy. And then referrals is typically coming from my employees where they have friends that are designers. People who are similar typically hang out. So like designers hang out with designers, coders hang out with coders.
Yeah.
So they know pretty good people.
100%.
As far as how I qualify them, I look at it through two different lenses. One is going to be, do they get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity to do it?
Yeah.
So that's the framework I use. And then on the back end, I look at values. This year was the biggest transition that I made, was looking at values as opposed to systems.
Got it.
Because previously I'd build a lot of process, but now I look at like the values and do they align with me?
With you, yeah.
I really look at like, does somebody own it? Do they, do they show up on time? Are they frugal with their money? Because I don't like being, spending my money and being
100%.
all, out there. I like being frugal.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I like to align those values as much as possible because it makes the workplace so much better.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. So do you have actually any in-person, because I know like we met your, I'm guessing, business partner or
operations manager.
Operation managers. So is everybody that you work with remote, or do you have anyone that you work with in person?
It's all remote.
Everything is remote.
It's all
okay,
remote.
That's pretty cool. Same.
I used to have an office with 3 people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just not working.
Everything. Yeah, 100%. Because you can do everything, remote. Why would you want to have it in person?
Yeah.
So what's your favorite thing about this business model, right? Because there's a bunch of businesses out there, and you said you started with e-com, then you realized you kind of got into email marketing, and then you're like, this is it. So what's your favorite thing about it?
That's a good question. I would say I think there's 2 things. With e-commerce, you're really, in a lot of ways, like a lone wolf.
Yeah,
where you
kinda.
pull a lot of the strings. Everything that you do is very leveraged.
Yeah.
So you run the ads. You don't have to talk to anybody. You can just run the ads individually.
100%, yeah.
With an agency, because there's so many people that I have to work with, I'm having to have a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
And I love working with people.
Gotcha.
So that's a big thing that I was like, okay, this business model fits me a lot better. I'm able to do sales calls. I'm able to talk with the employees, things like that. So that's a big thing for me. The second thing is that I love marketing as a whole, but the thing that I really appreciate the most is copywriting.
Oh,
and so really
interesting.
getting nerdy on copywriting.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love like the history of copywriting.
So do you like writing in general?
Yeah, I love writing. I love
That's
looking at the
crazy.
history of copywriting. I've read a ton of copywriting
That makes
books.
sense now. Okay.
And so now that I'm able to like do that full time and then
Yeah.
also teach people and then split test these things for brands that were on Shark Tank or brands that are doing $24 million a year.
That's
like
crazy.
it's so cool to be able to see my copywriting play out in that.
That's amazing. That's amazing that like you basically the business you fall into is something that you already were kind of passionate about without actually knowing, actually enjoy this. I kind of, that's what we were kind of talking about earlier, like doing something that you actually enjoy. A lot of people force stuff and then they do stuff and they're like, I absolutely hate this. I know I have to do it because, I'm making good money, but I just don't like doing it. So it's great that you're doing something that you enjoy doing and you like to be social and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, cool. What advice do you give yourself if you were just getting started with the business?
If I was just getting started, I would say value people over systems.
Okay.
That's number 1. Number 2 is that education is experience with leverage.
Okay.
But make sure that you're still executing.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, I would guilt myself if I wasn't working all the time. I'd be like, no, I can't learn because I need to be working.
Yeah.
And then I went on the other end where I spent all my time learning and I wasn't working.
Yeah.
But, the education can be really valuable if you use it as leverage, but you're still working like 80-90% of the time.
Yeah, you actually
needs to
learning
have a
something and
balance.
implementing it.
You need to implement all of it.
Yeah.
I would also say to be frugal.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah, it's hard, but I went through an experience where I went from making no money to making a good chunk of money.
Yeah.
For me, it was very new, and I bought 2
a lot
nice
of us,
cars.
yeah.
I bought a house, And, whenever the business event it eventually started slowing down, I had to pull back on all of that. So I went from driving a M4 and an i8 to a 2014 Honda Civic. And what I realized during that time period is I had golden handcuffs.
Yeah.
That it's like I had really nice stuff, but I wasn't able to do the thing that I actually loved,
to do,
which was
100%.
building my business. And so by being able to remove those constraints, I'm actually able to do what I like a lot more. So being frugal from the gate would have been probably a good move.
Oh, 100%. I noticed that a lot of people, like, let's say you said, like, when you started making money, you're like, get excited, like, I'm going to spend all my money. And a lot of people do it, which is okay. You get it out of the system, I feel like, and then you're like, you know what? I want to focus on my business. I don't care about all these stuff, going on.
It's all distraction.
Yeah, all distraction. And one thing happens that at least I saw during COVID, like people, let's say that they were doing solar or the salespeople doing really good. They would have this lifestyle that they have to keep up with, right?
Right.
So they have to work harder to keep up with a life they don't even care about. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're like, I just have to keep up because, like everybody knows me and it's like validation that they're getting, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because a lot of people do that. And I'm like a lot of times, like I'm thinking, oh, big house, this. And I'm like, gosh, this is so much responsibility. I don't want this. Like, this is nothing that I'm excited about. Now I have to fill it up. Now I have to do this. It's so much headache. Why would I want to do this? I do not want to do this. It's just not worth the stress. I want to do the things that I want to do every day instead of working on the things I want to work on and build, instead of stressing about my car maintenance, about the big house. Oh, break down. Something happens with this, or this happens. I know exactly what you mean, and I see this a lot.
And it doesn't allow you to take the risk that you need to as an entrepreneur.
100%.
So if you're wanting to take risk and move to the next thing, the next business, the next product, run more ads, you can't because you have to pay for the BMW or the big house or whatever it is.
100%.
So wish I did that a lot sooner.
You got to sometimes do it. Like, honestly, it's just so much like experience, and you're like, I don't really care about these things, you know?
Yeah.
So now I know what I want. And you're still so young that you're like, I know exactly what I want. That's what I want to do,
Yeah.
And you focus on those things, So which is great. Where people can find you.
I'm mostly on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. It's all just at Jonathan Zamora.
If you are interested in email marketing and you have a brand, you need help with your email marketing, why am I like this? I'm going to put everything down in the description. But thank you for coming here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for everything. We're going to go actually eat some Asian food at this point. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.